Liberal Party representing the suburbs and the regions of forgotten people. Are you now claiming that the Liberal Party represents the working class?
I think, as we've seen quite remarkably, just in the first week of this government, the break of faith with the working people of Australia. Anthony Albanese gave absolute clarity during the campaign that he would support a 5.1% increase, that he would write to the Fair Work Commission, and he broke that promise. Now he's tried to be clever with it in making the announcement in the days before the leadership vote has taken place in the Liberal Party or our front bench is announced. So he's tried to do it on a Friday afternoon under the cover of darkness, and I think he should be called out for it, because I think it is a monumental breach of trust with those workers who heard him say that he would support them in a 5.1% wage increase, and he hasn't. He's walked away from them. So I believe that the Liberal Party, in its current form, and certainly under my leadership, will be much better for working families, for workers right across the country. And I'm going to make sure that people understand that. We have a great story to tell, and I'm going to champion policies within our shadow cabinet, within our party room, directly targeting those workers, because those workers in many seats have walked away from Labor.
Record debt levels are probably a major concern for the population in the next 3 years. Are you proposing any sort of fiscal or economic reform moving forward, and if so, what will it look like?
We will, but if you forgive me, I'm not going to announce it today on day one, which you might cut me that slack. The government, the Treasurer and the Finance Minister are out at the moment saying effectively that they don't know what to do. Now, they had, under the Charter of Budget Honesty and under PFO, the numbers in front of them. They knew exactly what they were inheriting. They made policy decisions based on all of that. They're now into government telling you that they didn't understand the numbers and that they've got a policy agenda which is not properly funded. And so now you've got S&P and others talking about whether Australia's credit rating is going to be adversely affected. Well, frankly, they've had years in opposition to work out what policies they could afford and what they can't. But Labor always spends more than what they can afford to spend, and Labor will always tax as a result of it. And it will be at exactly the wrong time over the course of the next few years, where I think it is going to be difficult for families and for small businesses under Labor. I think we should be very clear about that. Yeah.
Mark McGowan has described you as not that smart and an extremist. How do you react to that, and how do you plan to win back WA after losing so many seats in the election?
Well, I feel a great affinity with WA as a Queenslander. As much as anything, there's always sort of two mining states and two states with vast regional areas. I think there's always been that affinity with WA and Queensland. So I feel at home in WA, frankly, as I do around the rest of the country. I've, in this job, travelled to, Sydney hundreds of times, dozens and dozens of times to other capital cities, including Perth, and I've got lots of friends in WA. I've got respect for Mark Gowan as the Premier for WA. I'm not going to enter into a tit-for-tat and juvenile comments. The state premiers, state Labor premiers and chief ministers lined up as one to attack and to pull down Scott Morrison. They'll seek to do the same with me. All I'd say to the Australian people is to look at me and form your own judgment, listen to what I'm saying and form your own judgment, as opposed to listening to these politically motivated statements. And in relation to the second part of his comment, I have a bachelor's degree in business, in public administration. I wasn't a committed student at school. I was more interested in making money, I might say. And I started a business of nothing into a very significant business employing 40 staff. I've been on the front bench of the Liberal Party since 2004, having been identified by John Howard in my first term as being capable of being appointed very quickly to the ministry. I've served as our country's health minister, sport, which was a great portfolio. I've been the Defence Minister, the Home Affairs Minister. I've been on the Expenditure Review Committee. I've been a part of the National Security Committee, as I say, and as part of the leadership of the party. I'll let people draw their own conclusions as to what my capacity is.